Hello students, this is the second lecture of the chapter Physical Quantities and Measurement. Today we will discuss about the Archimedes principle, flotation and the laws of flotation. Archimedes principle, this principle states that when a body is immersed in a fluid partially or wholly, it experiences a loss of weight. This loss of weight is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by the immersed part of the body. Now, what does this Archimedes principle state? Archimedes principle state that whenever we immerse any object inside the fluid, okay, you might have also experienced that the weight of the object inside the fluid or say water is less as compared to the weight of that object outside the liquid, right? Actually this is only Archimedes principle. Okay, about Archimedes principle states about this factor only, this phenomenon only. Okay, so if any object is immersed in a fluid partially, say part of it or wholly, it experiences a loss of weight. Now this loss of weight actually is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by that immersed part of the body. Okay, now flotation. Upthrust causes, now in the previous lectures I have explained about the upthrust and buoyancy force. So upthrust causes some object to float. Yes, due to the upthrust, okay, we have seen that the objects can float. Some objects can float. Now upthrust applies to the object which floats in a fluid as well as to the object that sink. Okay, so in both the cases, whether an object sinks or it floats, it doesn't matter, upthrust will be always there. An object floats in a fluid only if its weight is less than the weight of an equal volume of the fluid. So what is the condition that when an object floats? An object floats in a fluid only if its weight is less than the weight of the equal volume of that fluid. Okay, so an object can only floats whenever the weight of the object is less than the what? Upthrust. An object sinks if its weight is more than the weight of an equal volume of the fluid. So this is only actually the law of flotation. Okay, so the law states that the weight of the fluid displaced by a floating body is equal to the weight of the body. Okay, so according to this law, it states that the weight of the fluid displaced, now whatever the weight of the fluid displaced by a floating body, that is equal to the weight of the body. Okay, or if the density of an object is less than that of the fluid, now imagine that say a stone. Okay, stone density is obviously quite higher or greater than that of the what? Fluid or water. Okay, so in that case what will happen? Yes, the stone will sink. Now in this case, if the density of an object is less than that of the fluid, okay, now if it is less than that, for example cork, okay, wood, plastic, then the object will float. If the density of the object is greater than that of the fluid, then the object will sink. Okay, now when a body is immersed in a liquid, it loses its weight, okay, which is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced by it. Now whenever you immerse any object in the liquid, we will observe that the weight of that body is reduced. Now how much weight is reduced? How much weight is reduced? Now in the last class I told you, on the last lecture I told you that weight is nothing but it is a force. Now what is upthrust? Upthrust is also a force only. Now weight is that force which act downward, right? Weight is that force which act downward. So weight is that force which act downward and upthrust is that force which act upward. Okay, so in both the cases you can see that we are speaking about the force, right? So weight is that force which act downward, whereas upthrust is that force which always act upward. Now thus if, let us say, if W1 is the displaced, if W1 is the weight of the body and the weight of the liquid displaced by it is W2, then the apparent weight or apparent loss of the weight of the body is clearly W1 minus W2. Okay, now whatever the weight loss, that is actually due to the upthrust. Okay, that is actually due to the upthrust. Okay, now whatever the volume of the liquid displaced, now whenever we immerse some object inside the liquid, okay, it displaces some liquid or water, right? Say in case of water, what will happen? It will displace liquid or water. Now imagine that if you can collect that displaced water, okay, you will see that the weight of the displaced water is actually the what? It is the actual force which was acting as the upthrust. Okay, and the value uh, of the expression will be positive or negative. Now in some cases it is positive and some cases it is negative. Okay, in case it sinks, then it will have a negative value. In case it float, then it will have a positive value. Now in this demonstration you see that you can take steel, wood, iron, aluminum, ice, okay, and few liquid. You have to take water, kerosene, oil, mercury, salt solution, etc. Now you will notice that the steel, wood, iron, aluminum, all this, okay, few of them will float in some of the liquid and few of them will sink. But in case of mercury, you will see that all of them will float. Why? Because the density of the mercury is more, so the upthrust will be also more. Okay, when a body is immersed in a liquid, it is acted upon by two forces. Now whenever you immerse any object in a liquid, it will experience two type of forces. Already I told you just now. First is the weight of the body, which is W1, act vertically downward. Yes, first is the weight of the body. So let us say that weight of the body is W1 and it is acting vertically downward. Yes, weight of the body is W1 and it is acting vertically downward. Okay. Secondly, the buoyant force of the upthrust, which act vertically upward due to the weight of the liquid displaced. And another is, say, W2. So W2 is the upthrust. W2 is the upthrust which is acting vertically upward. Okay, so both the forces are facing opposite to each other in the direction. Okay, both the forces are opposite in the direction. Okay, with respect to the above forces, the following three cases arises. Now with respect to the forces, there can be three cases which we will go through. Case 1, when the weight of the body is greater than that of the liquid displaced by it. Now in this case, what is happening? The weight of the body, that means the downward force, is greater than the upward force. Then the body will experience a resultant downward thrust. Thrust mean force. Okay, thrust mean force. Okay, you can write it over there. Thrust mean force. So if the downward force is greater than the upward force, okay, then the downward force, then who will dominate here? The upward force, sorry, the downward force. Now if the downward force dominant, what will happen? Therefore under the influence of the resultant force acting downward, the body will move down and sink. Okay, so in case if the resultant force or the downward force is greater, in that case the body will sink. You can see here the downward force, that means the weight of the body is greater, okay, than the upthrust. So what is the result? The result is that the body has, here you can see it has sink. Case 2, when the thrust or force of the displaced liquid is greater than the weight of the body. Now in this case, what is happening? The thrust of the displaced liquid. Now the thrust of the displaced liquid is what? Upthrust. That means upward force. Now if the upward force is greater than the weight of the body, in that case what will happen? The body will experience a resultant upward force. Yes, and therefore it will rise upward. It will continue moving up till the weight of the liquid displaced by the immersed part of just equal to the weight of the body and will just float on the liquid. So here in this case you can see that upthrust W2 is greater compared to the W1. In that case it is floating. Okay, now whatever the liquid displace, okay, you might have noticed in a ship what happened, the liquid which is displaced, the volume of the ship is made in such a way that the weight of the liquid which is displaced, okay, produces huge amount of upthrust which help it to remain afloat. Okay, a simple demonstration is given to verify Archimedes principle. Okay, for this what we need to do, first of all we need to take a metal block, okay, and here you can see a physical balance is given, spring balance is given. So first you need to measure the weight of it, okay. Now and then when you will put into this water, okay, you will see that there is a reduce in the weight. You can see the marking has moved up. Move up mean now there is a reduce in weight. Now this reduced weight is known as apparent weight. This is false weight, that is known as apparent weight. Okay, now whatever the reduce in weight, that is only the upward force, that is only the upward force. Now how much volume of liquid is displaced? Now whatever the volume of liquid displaced, you can collect it here. Now if you measure the weight of this liquid, you will find that the difference, whatever the difference in these two weight, that is equal to the weight of this liquid displaced. So here Archimedes is very clear with his statement that an object displaces water. Whenever an object is immersed in a liquid, it displaces water, okay, or liquid. Now that liquid, displaced liquid, imagine that if you can collect it in a container, okay, it will have some weight. Now that means it will have some force. Now in this case what is happening, it is acting as upthrust, upward force. Okay, so if that upward force is greater, now when will the upward force greater? Just think, when will the upward force greater? If the liquid displace is greater, that means if the volume is greater, okay, then only the upthrust will be more, and in that case the object will float, otherwise it will sink. Okay, here another experiment or demonstration is given to verify the law of flotation. So to verify the law of flotation, here we can see, okay, we have taken a cotton loop, water level, lead sorts in it. Okay, now take a measuring cylinder about half filled with water. Note the volume of water taken in the cylinder. Take a test tube with a cotton loop attached and place it in the cylinder. Add lead sorts. Lead sorts actually it will increase the weight. So here it is acting as a weight to the test tube gradually until it float upright. So you can see here it is floating upright, straight. Okay, note the new water level reading in the cylinder. So now after putting it, you have to note the new water level reading in the cylinder. Okay, find the difference between this reading and the previous one. The difference in the volume of the water displaced by the test tube, since the density of the water is equal to 1 gram per, so please note it down, the density of water is equal to 1 gram per centimeter cube. Okay, the weight of the water displaced is numerically equal to its volume in centimeter cube. So whatever the water is displaced here in volume, you can directly convert it into the weight. Yes, weight, right? Remove the test tube from the cylinder, dry it and weight it again using the cotton loop. It is found that the total weight of the test tube and the lead sort is equal to the weight of the water displaced. So whatever the weight of the water is displaced, okay, whatever the weight of the water is displaced, that is equal to the weight of the test tube and the lead sort, that means the total weight. Okay, let us move on to case 3. When the value of expression W1 minus W2, now what is W1 here? The weight of the object. W2 is the weight of, is the upthrust, is 0. Okay, now if this is 0, okay, a body will not experience any resultant force either upward or downward, therefore it will just float completely submerged. So in this case you can see, imagine that the whatever the upthrust is, upthrust and the weight, if the upthrust and weight both are equal, in that case what will happen? Yes, the resultant force will be 0. Both the force, if you minus it, it will come 0. Okay, in that case the body will just submerge like this. You can see it is just floating on the surface of the liquid. Okay, so uh, with this you can go through the application of flotation. After going through this, okay, we can also go through the application. Floating of iceberg. The density of ice, you can see 0.917 gram per centimeter cube, is slightly less than the seawater. Okay, so when a large glacier breaks in cold region, it may float in sea water and a small part outside. Okay, so you can see from the picture that most of the portion of the iceberg is inside the water. Okay, which and with a quite greater volume, so it is able to float, and also because of the less density of the ice, it is also able to float. Okay, it may float in the sea water with a small part outside, but in fact a major portion of that iceberg may be hiding inside the water, which can cause damage to boat or ship sailing in the water. You might have heard about the famous ship Titanic. What happened to it? Yes, the incident. The famous Titanic ship sank in the sea due to the collision with an iceberg. Okay. Next, flotation on sea water. The density of sea water is greater than that of the fresh water. Say the density of sea water is always greater than of the sea water. Okay, than the fresh water. Say river water, pond water. Okay, so the density of sea water is always more. Due to the presence of dissolved salt, the sea water provides greater upward force or upthrust as compared to the fresh water. So, with a smaller part submerged in the sea water, the weight of sea water displaced is equal to the total weight of the body, making it easier for anyone to float on sea water. Dear student, it is very easier to swim in the sea water rather than the pond water or river water. This is because the density of sea water is more and it is easy to swim over there because it produces greater upthrust compared to the fresh water. Similarly, ships coming from the sea water to the river water sink more as they have to displace more volume of water to support their weight due to the lower density of the river water as compared to the sea water. Flotation of iron or steel ship. A ship is built hollow from inside. Yes, this is actually purposefully this is done. Why? To increase the volume of the ship, because greater the volume, greater will be the upthrust, greater will be the displacement of the water. It is designed in such a way that when its hull is partially immersed, now there is a mark, okay, that is known as hull mark or Pimson line, is partially immersed in water, the weight of the water displaced by it is equal to the total weight of the ship. Thus, the weight of the ship and the buoyant force of water balance each other. As a result, the resultant force becomes zero and the ship floats on water. Okay, so the ship is built in such a way that the weight of the water displaced is equal to the weight of the ship itself. Okay, so in that case the ship remain afloat like this. Okay, so before I end this lecture, I would like to show you one animated video on Archimedes principle. So whenever you are watching this video, okay, please be seated with you should sit with your textbook, and wherever the important notes you find, you should note it down immediately over there. And if you do not understand once, then again review time and again watch this video nicely. Okay, so let's see this.
Principle. We're all aware of the fact that some objects float in water while others sink. Let's look at a balloon. Do you know what makes a balloon float on water? Well, it's the upward force exerted by water that makes the balloon float. To experience this, try pushing the balloon underwater. You will feel an upward force that makes it difficult to push the balloon down. Now release the balloon, it bounces back to the surface. What happens here is that the applied force acts in the downward direction, pushing the balloon down, but the water exerts an upward force on the balloon, pushing it up. This upward force exerted by water on the balloon is known as upthrust or buoyancy, and the upward force is called the buoyant force. Have you ever wondered why an iron nail sinks while a huge iron ship floats on water? Let's see. The iron nail sinks as it is solid and compact with less volume in water, and its density is greater than water. Thus, the upthrust exerted by water on the nail is less than the weight of the nail. This causes it to sink. An iron ship floats as it is hollow, filled with air and occupies more volume in water, and its density is less than water. Thus, the upthrust exerted by water on the ship is greater than the weight of the ship, letting it float. These examples indicate that the magnitude of the buoyant force depends on the volume V of the immersed part of the body, the density ρ of the fluid, and the acceleration due to gravity G. Thus, upthrust or buoyant force is equal to V rho G. In general, an object experiences a loss of weight in water due to the upthrust, and it is equal to the weight of water displaced by it. This is better answered using the law of buoyancy, also known as the Archimedes principle, named after the Greek scientist who discovered it. Archimedes' principle states that when an object is immersed in a liquid, the apparent loss of weight of an object is equal to the upthrust, and this is also equal to the weight of the liquid displaced. We see the uses of this principle in our daily lives. Ever caught a fish with a fishing line? When pulling the line, you would have felt the weight of the fish in water is lighter than when the fish has surfaced. Say the weight of the fish in water is 4 kilos. Its approximate weight outside would be 5 kilos. Well, the water level too has come down. This difference in the volume of water level will equal the loss in weight of the fish when in water. That is, the weight of the fish when outside minus its weight when immersed in water equals the loss in weight of the fish. So the loss in weight of the fish will equal the weight of the decreased water. This is because the upthrust or buoyant force is equal to the weight of the decreased amount of water. Thus, Archimedes' principle is verified. Certain technologies today work based on the Archimedes principle. To name a few, the designing of ships and submarines, hydrometer is used to find the specific gravity of liquid, and lactometers used to determine purity of milk. Things to remember. The upward force exerted by a fluid is called upthrust or buoyant force. Upthrust or buoyant force equals V rho G. Archimedes' principle states that when a body is partially or fully immersed in a fluid, it experiences an upward force that is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by it. Archimedes' principle is also known as the law of buoyancy.
Okay, so please go through the video, okay, and watch nicely and start solving the question answers of this topic. In the next video lectures, I shall discuss the question answers of this topic. Thank you.